All right, today we're going to dive into a pretty radical idea, one that comes from this fascinating text. What if your thoughts weren't just these private, internal things? What if they were a tangible force that could actually shape the world around you? So let me ask you something right off the bat. Are your thoughts truly 100% contained within your own head? Or could they be something more? Well, the text we're digging into today suggests something pretty wild, that our thoughts aren't just passive little events. Nope. It says they are active forces that can be projected out into the world and create real, actual effects. So how is this even supposed to work, right? Well, the first big idea we have to wrap our heads around is that our thoughts, they aren't actually locked inside our skulls. The text basically says that this isn't some kind of supernatural, mystical thing. It argues that if we just pay close attention to our own lives, we'll see proof of it all around us. Thoughts bridging huge distances with no technology needed at all. Okay, but here's the catch. This power isn't just on all the time. The text claims the key to unlocking it, to really making it work, lies in a single principle it calls the physics of focus. And to really get this point across, the text uses some fantastic analogies. First up, think about gunpowder. If you just sprinkle it on the ground and light it, it just fizzles out. But if you contain that exact same powder in a cartridge and focus its power, well, then it can literally move mountains. Or how about this one, steam? If you just let it go, it dissipates, vanishes into the air. But if you channel that same steam, focus it through an engine, suddenly you have the power to move a massive locomotive. And one more, just to really drive it home, sunlight. Normally, it just warms your skin, but focus those same rays through a magnifying glass, and you can start a fire. The point here is so clear, isn't it? Scattered thoughts are weak, but when you focus them, that's where you find incredible power. Okay, so if focused thought is basically a magnifying glass for a mind, how does that actually do anything in the real world? The text connects this to something I bet has happened to a lot of you. You're just randomly thinking about a friend you haven't talked to in forever, and then boom, your phone rings, and it's them? The source we're looking at says that's not just a coincidence. According to this text, that's the process in action. It suggests that by creating a really clear, vivid picture of someone in your mind, and then focusing on them with a pure, selfless intention, your thought can actually be transmitted, and they can receive it. And this is where things get really intense, because the text applies this same idea to healing, and it offers a pretty stark warning. If a doctor is secretly greedy, thinking only of money, that powerful negative thought can actually work against the medicine and keep the patient sick. But on the flip side, and this is amazing, the text claims that a doctor's genuine, selfless goodwill is an incredibly powerful healing force all on its own. It can supposedly boost the medicine's effect or even help a patient get better from far away, just through the power of that positive, focused intention. So this whole idea of focused thought, it keeps scaling up, and it leads to this incredible conclusion: the ability to tap into a kind of universal mind. The source calls this the samashti man, or the collective mind. Think of it like a giant cosmic cloud server that contains all the knowledge, all the talent that has ever existed. The text argues that with enough concentration, our individual minds can connect to it and download from it. Now, for proof, the text points to these almost unbelievable stories from history. A woman who could recite 2,000 books from memory, an 8-year-old kid solving complex math problems out loud, a guy who played 20 games of chess at the same time, blindfolded. I mean, come on! So what's the explanation here? Well, the source says these weren't just one-off geniuses. These were normal people who, through just intense concentration, managed to open a channel to that vast collective mind, letting them tap into skills and information way beyond their own personal experience. So if this amazing potential is out there, how do we actually tap into it? How do we cultivate it? The text says it all boils down to two key things, the true source of this power. The two keys are concentration, what the text calls tapasya, and selflessness. So it's that intense, disciplined focus we've been talking about. But it's coupled with something just as important, a pure intention to use this power for others, not just for yourself. And this brings us to maybe the most important takeaway of all. The text argues that your intention behind using this power is everything. If you use it for your own selfish gain, it will eventually just diminish and fade away. But if you use it for the good of others, the power not only lasts, it actually gets stronger. So that kind of leaves us with a big question to chew on. If the source is right and concentration really is a kind of superpower we all have access to, what are you going to aim yours at?